Hey, yeah, I want you to imagine this. Sitting here, just us talking. You've been out there trying to get attention, putting in effort, texting back immediately, buying drinks, planning dates, basically doing everything you think a guy's supposed to do. But here's the brutal truth most guys won't say out loud. All that chasing, it's literally killing your chances. I know it stings, but it's true. You see, attraction isn't about who texts more, who follows up faster, or who jumps through hoops. The more you chase, the less she sees you as someone worth her energy. Here's the thing most men completely misunderstand. Attraction is a natural instinct. It's a pull, not a push. When you push too hard, it triggers the opposite reaction. Instead of being drawn to you, she feels pressure, frustration, or even boredom. And that's why so many guys end up wondering why she loses interest after they've tried so hard. It's not about being nice or good enough, it's about how human desire works. Imagine this. You meet someone amazing, and instead of letting her come to you naturally, you overwhelm her with attention, texts, or invitations. What happens? That spark fades. She starts noticing little things you do to please her, and suddenly, attraction disappears. Why? Because desire thrives on challenge, independence, and value. Things you can't fake. You can't make someone like you by running faster in their direction. You can only give them reasons to want to follow. This isn't about manipulation or games. It's about understanding human behavior and using that knowledge to create real connections. The truth is uncomfortable. Most of what guys think works doesn't work at all. But don't worry, I'm going to break it down step by step. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why chasing women makes them less attracted to you and, more importantly, what actually draws them in naturally. So, if you're ready to stop wasting energy on the wrong approach and start actually creating attraction, pay close attention. We're about to flip the script on everything you've been taught about dating, and trust me, it's going to feel like a light switch turned on. 1. Chasing makes you invisible. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met a woman, felt that instant spark, and then, no matter what you did, it just fizzled out? You texted more, called more, made plans, went out of your way, and yet somehow she seemed to drift away. Here's the hard truth nobody wants to tell you. Chasing doesn't make you more attractive, it makes you invisible. Yeah, it sounds crazy, right? You think effort equals interest, but in reality, the more you chase, the less presence you have in her mind. When you're always there, always responding, always available, she stops noticing you as a man of value. Instead, you become part of the background, a predictable, safe option that doesn't spark desire. Desire isn't about safety, it's about intrigue. Here's why this happens. Attraction is instinctual. The human brain is wired to notice those who are independent, confident, and a little unpredictable. When you chase, you're essentially screaming, I'm desperate for your approval. And guess what? That instinctively lowers your value in her eyes. She no longer sees you as a prize or a challenge. She sees you as someone she already has, or worse, someone she could take for granted. Think about it this way. Have you ever noticed how the people who don't try too hard suddenly get all the attention? The guy who is busy living his life, pursuing goals, and not constantly checking his phone? That's not luck, that's biology. Your absence, or more accurately, your selective presence, creates curiosity and desire. The chase is a one-way street. It exhausts attraction rather than fuels it. Now here's the controversial part. Being nice or thoughtful doesn't save you from invisibility. You can plan the perfect date, send the sweetest messages, and still fade into the background if you're always the one pursuing. It's not about how much effort you put in. It's about how much value you bring. High-value men are noticed, even without trying to impress. Low-value men chase, and chasing doesn't impress. It disappears. So, how do you avoid becoming invisible? First, stop overinvesting. You don't need to respond instantly to every message, and you don't need to bend over backward to prove you care. Instead, focus on creating moments of intrigue. Pursue your own interests, stay busy with your life, and let her see you as someone with options, someone she would want to be around rather than have around. Second, embrace the power of selective attention. Not every text, call, or invitation needs an immediate response. Give her space to wonder, to miss you, to feel the pull that only absence can create. Remember, when someone is always there, they stop feeling the thrill of the chase, and attraction, it thrives on thrill. Finally realize this isn't manipulation, it's self-respect. You're not playing games, you're teaching yourself and her the natural rhythm of desire. Chasing isn't attractive, it never was. What's magnetic is independence, confidence, and a life worth noticing. When you stop running after her, you stop being invisible, and suddenly you become the man she wants to chase. 2. Nice guys finish last, even when they're great guys. All right, let's get straight to it. This one's going to sting a little. You might be the guy who opens doors, remembers birthdays, listens to her endlessly, and genuinely thinks being nice is enough to win her heart. Here's the brutal truth. Being a nice guy doesn't automatically make you attractive, and in many cases it actually pushes her away. I know. Society has been telling you your whole life that kindness equals romance. You've been taught that if you're caring, respectful, and selfless, women will naturally fall for you. But here's the catch. Attraction isn't about moral points or good intentions, it's about desire. And desire doesn't care how nice you are. Desire cares about confidence, independence, and a sense of value. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a guy who is too nice. He always agrees with her, cancels his plans to accommodate her schedule, sends nonstop texts, and never sets boundaries. At first, it might seem like she's impressed. But here's what actually happens in her mind. She starts seeing him as predictable, safe, and boring. There's no tension, no challenge, no spark. Nice guys become invisible men of good intentions, and that's the last thing attraction thrives on. Here's why this is so controversial. Being a good person isn't bad. You don't need to stop being kind or respectful. The problem comes when niceness turns into desperation, when every action is motivated by fear of rejection or the need for approval. It signals low value. Women are wired to pick up on confidence and independence, not eagerness to please. The more you try to prove your worth through nice gestures, the less intriguing you become. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a fine line between being genuinely kind and being a pushover. High-value men can be nice. They just don't make niceness the foundation of their appeal. They are kind from a position of abundance, not need. They don't chase to get validation. They give attention selectively, and that selective attention actually makes them more magnetic. Here's the key takeaway. Nice guys finish last, not because they're good people, but because they're offering value in the wrong way. Effort alone doesn't equal attraction. You could be the most thoughtful guy in the world, but if you're constantly seeking approval, she'll sense it and desire will fade. Women crave men who are self-assured, independent, and a little mysterious. When a nice guy overcommits, overtexts, or overexplains himself, he becomes predictable and, unfortunately, forgettable. So, what's the solution? Start by detaching your worth from her attention. Be kind, yes, but don't tie your self-value to her reactions. Focus on your life, your goals, your hobbies, and your growth. Let your kindness be a natural reflection of your character, not a tool to chase her interest. When you operate from this mindset, something amazing happens. Attraction shifts. Instead of you chasing, she starts noticing your independence, confidence, and self-respect. And suddenly, you're no longer the nice guy who finishes last, you're the man who becomes irresistible. Here's the truth that most guys refuse to accept. Being great doesn't guarantee desire, but being confident, independent, and selective does. Nice guys who understand this don't finish last. They stop finishing last entirely. 3. Attraction is about value, not effort. Let's be honest for a second. How many times have you felt like you were doing everything right and still getting nowhere? You text, you call, you plan, you listen, you try to impress, and yet she's still distant. It's frustrating, and it makes you question yourself. But here's the thing most guys never realize. Attraction isn't about how much effort you put in. It's about the value you bring. You've probably felt it before. That pull you get when someone walks into the room and suddenly everything shifts. It's not because they begged for attention or tried to earn it. It's because they have a presence, confidence, and energy that naturally draws people in. That's what value looks like. It's not flashy, it's not desperate, and it doesn't require constant proving. Now think about the opposite. You've been there too, the guy who does everything right but still feels invisible. You're chasing approval, trying to earn attention, and giving more than you're getting. It's exhausting. And here's the hard truth: effort without value is invisible. You can pour yourself into texts, calls, and plans, but if there's nothing that makes you stand out, nothing that makes you interesting, nothing that signals confidence and independence, it doesn't create attraction, it drains it. Relate to this. You've probably noticed that people gravitate toward those who are self assured, who have their own lives, passions, and standards. You can feel it in the way others carry themselves, in the way they talk, in the way they move through the world. That energy is magnetic. And here's the thing: it's not earned through effort, it's built from who you are. A lot of men confuse working hard to impress with being valuable, but they're completely different. Effort shows desperation. Value shows self-respect. Effort says, please notice me. Value says, I'm here. If you want in, great. One draws people in, the other pushes them away. Relatable, right? You've felt the difference when someone's presence makes you want to lean in without them asking. That's attraction at work. So, if you've been trying to earn attention, trying to prove your worth through constant effort, it's time to shift your focus. Stop overextending yourself and start cultivating the things that naturally make you magnetic. Confidence, independence, humor, and self-respect aren't just traits, they're signals. Signals that say you're worth noticing, signals that create desire without trying. Remember this: the most attractive men aren't the ones who work the hardest. They're the ones who know their value and live it. When you focus on building your life and your presence rather than chasing approval, you stop being one more guy competing for attention. You become someone who others notice, appreciate, and yes, desire. Attraction is never about effort. It's about the energy you bring, the confidence you carry, and the value you live. Once you understand that, everything else falls into place. 4. Space creates desire, clinginess. Kills it all right. Let's have a real talk. Too many men get this completely wrong. They think that being constantly available, always replying, always checking in, and making themselves easy to reach will make a woman like them more. Here's the problem: it doesn't. In fact, it often does the exact opposite. Clinginess kills attraction, and most guys don't even realize it. I want you to pause and think about it. How often have you texted back instantly, double texted when she didn't reply, or canceled your own plans just to be there for her? You thought you were showing care, but in reality, you were signaling something far less attractive: neediness. Neediness isn't charming. It's not cute. It's exhausting. And here's the thing: she can feel it. She can feel the energy of someone who's too available, too eager, too desperate for approval. That energy pushes people away more than anything else. Here's the harsh truth: most men are too busy trying to fill her world with their attention, and in the process, they forget to live their own life. That's the criticism you need to hear. If you're always bending over backward to be present, you're losing the thing that actually makes you attractive: your independence. Women are wired to notice men who have a life of their own, men who are busy chasing goals, pursuing passions, and setting boundaries. When you remove yourself from that balance, you stop being magnetic and start being predictable. Now, don't misunderstand me. This isn't about ignoring someone you care about or playing games. It's about respecting the natural rhythm of desire. People crave space because it gives them room to notice, appreciate, and miss. Desire thrives when it isn't forced, when it isn't smothered. If you're constantly present, you remove the tension, the curiosity, and the excitement. And without those, attraction dwindles. Here's a piece of advice that should wake some of you up: step back without stepping away completely. Don't overcompensate with attention or validation. Instead, create space by being selective with your availability. Live your life first, let her live hers, and allow interactions to feel like a choice, not an obligation. This isn't just smarter, it's magnetic. Space gives her the opportunity to see your value, to feel the pull that only comes when someone isn't always within reach. Remember this, being present 24/7 doesn't make her want you, it makes her take you for granted. If you want real attraction, you need to respect the balance. Stop overthinking every message, stop overextending yourself, and stop trying to fill her life with your energy. Instead, focus on creating a life that naturally draws people in. When you do, desire works its magic without you chasing, pleading, or pushing. So, here's the takeaway for all the men listening. Wake up. Stop being too available. Stop trying to control attraction through effort. Space is your ally, and independence is your power. When you respect both, you don't just maintain attraction, you elevate it. 5. Stop following the rules. Start being magnetic. Here's the part most guys never hear. If you want real attraction, you need to stop playing by the rules. Yeah, all those do's and don'ts you've been memorizing? Forget them. Following scripts, overthinking texts, or trying to act like someone you're not doesn't make you attractive. It makes you predictable. And predictability kills desire. Think about it. How many times have you noticed someone who just seems magnetic without trying? There's no checklist, no strategy, no desperate effort. They don't force attention, and yet people are drawn to them naturally. That's the kind of presence you need. Being magnetic isn't about manipulation. It's about being someone worth noticing, someone interesting, confident, and independent enough that others want to lean in rather than chase. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men spend more energy trying to follow dating rules than actually developing themselves. They worry about the perfect text, the perfect compliment, the perfect reaction. And in doing so, they lose sight of the one thing that actually matters, their own value. Being magnetic starts with owning who you are and living your life fully, without looking for validation or approval from anyone else. When your energy is self-sufficient, it naturally creates attraction. Another thing, unpredictability is powerful. When you stop being fully available, when you allow moments of curiosity and a little mystery, you spark desire. People notice what they can't fully predict. They are drawn to energy that feels alive, confident, and untouchable. That doesn't mean being cold or aloof. It means prioritizing your life, your goals, and your self-respect while still engaging in genuine connection. That balance is magnetic. Here's a piece of advice to really internalize. Stop chasing outcomes and start cultivating presence. Stop worrying about rules or what she expects. Focus on being the kind of man who is interesting, ambitious, confident, and comfortable in his own skin. That combination automatically draws attention. You don't need to try harder. You need to be more authentic, more alive, and more grounded in your own value. And remember, being magnetic isn't about controlling anyone or tricking them into liking you. It's about creating a life and energy that naturally pulls people toward you. The more you embrace this mindset, the less you'll need to chase, and the more attraction will work in your favor without stress, overthinking, or desperation. So here's the final takeaway. Stop following rules. Stop overthinking, and stop chasing approval. Start being magnetic by living your life with confidence, value, and presence. That's how real attraction happens, and it works every time. Here's the truth that most guys refuse to admit, and it might upset some of you. Chasing women doesn't just fail, it actively destroys the possibility of attraction. The more you push, the more you lose. Desire isn't built on effort, niceness, or constant attention. It's built on confidence, value, and presence. If you've been doing the hard work only to feel invisible, it's not because you're not enough. It's because you've been following the wrong rules, and that's controversial enough to make a lot of people uncomfortable. But it's real. Now, I want this to be more than just a video you watch and forget. I want to hear from you. Share your experiences in the comments, whether it's the times chasing didn't work, the moments you felt invisible, or the times you finally let go and noticed a shift. I read every single comment, and I promise I'll reach out to connect with some of you directly. This isn't about me just giving advice. It's about creating a real conversation, building understanding, and helping you actually apply this in your life. Remember, attraction isn't a game you can win by following scripts. It's a reflection of who you are when you live with confidence, independence, and self-respect. Stop chasing. Start being magnetic. Focus on your life first, your growth, your energy, and watch how everything changes. So, I challenge you. Stop doing what everyone else says works and start doing what actually works. It's uncomfortable, it's counterintuitive, and it's controversial, but it's the truth. Comment your story, share your struggles, and let's talk about it. I'm here, I'm listening, and together we'll figure out what actually draws women in naturally.